Well, welcome everyone. Everyone on the phone, welcome to our full lecture this end. And we're going to, we got a nice little crowd here in the living room of Judith Barker's, and we're just going to have a little talk tonight about Holy Divine Healing and maybe some new things that we haven't gotten out there just yet. But anyway, it's an honor and a joy to be with you this evening, and so there's so many different ways to talk about Holy Divine Healing and where to start with it all. And I guess I'm just going to kind of go through the skinny of how I got started doing this, and it'll be 21 years this August that I've been doing Holy Divine Healing. And before I was into this, I was a chiropractor, and been a chiropractor since '84, so been in the healing arts for quite a while, and I was always interested in the healing arts as a young person, and the natural way of life always appealed to me. I always thought it was so interesting that in the natural world that the intelligence always comes included, and it's like growing a vegetable garden. You don't have to know what the seed knows to do that. You have a very easy part, actually. If you know when to plant, how to take care of a plant, you pretty much get the benefit of a good harvest if nature's cooperating with you, and you get rain and not too much heat and sun. But the natural world is like that, and we are actually a part of the natural world in our physical, emotional, and mental body. And it's easy to think of things in terms of what all man has created, which is vast, from spaceships to computers and all this kind of stuff that man has created with his educated brain. Is really pretty phenomenal. But we're not really a whole lot like that. And there is a branch of healing arts that deals with that, and it's the medical model, and it's, in my opinion, it's for the crisis management part of healthcare. It can definitely save your life, and very appropriately so, give you a temporary relief from a bad symptom and whatnot. But unfortunately, a lot of those remedies and processes have side effects, and I kind of like things a little bit more pure than that. So I'm more attracted to wellness care, where you do things like acupuncture, herbs, chiropractic, massage, different modalities. A lot of wonderful people do, and these processes are actually good for you. They're not going to make you have a disease or something from their use. And so I think that's where a person should start, learn what to do to keep themselves in balance, because, unfortunately, we live in a toxic, hostile world, and over time, the insult to stress and trauma will get you out of balance. So you have to be willing to maintenance yourself as you go along, or you're going to need a lot more of the crisis management intervention if you blow that off and don't understand it or participate in a wellness system. And now there's actually a third system that I call an ascension system. And this all started for me August the 17th of 1994 on my last day of vacation at my mother-in-law's bay house in South Alabama. I actually had a heat stroke and went down the rabbit hole and had a telepathic encounter with crystal light beings on the other side of the bell, and got anointed in light and awakened to my sacred path, and I came back down the rabbit hole to the earth, and I was very excited to come back because I was going to get to do my sacred gift. And right before I came onto the earth, the holiness of life told me that all of us have been put on this earth to learn to trust in our inner holiness. But that's what the big mission here is. If you're doing that or not, is not validated by what you say, but by what you feel. And if you're doing anxiety, worry, fear, depression, anger, critical, cynical, doubtful feelings of this nature, you demonstrate that you're not trusting in your inner holiness. You're trying to troubleshoot your life and figure it out for yourself. And And self is just absolutely the least conscious part of you that has no knowing, and turning any project over to self is less than desirable. And there's a wonderful alternative to that, and it's called the parable of Christ consciousness. You know, we actually have 7 levels of consciousness, but you only experience the first 4 in the human condition of self and belief. And that is your unconscious, subconscious, conscious, and mass conscience. The 3 higher levels are reserved for beings of the Holy O, which was actually the origin of where we came from. We went through a downfall to become human. Come in, Eileen.
Hi.
Right in. And the Christ conscious, cosmic conscious, and goddess conscious levels of consciousness, they function in the model of the Holy O, but not in the model of one. So this is so as we do this ascension process, which I'm going to explain to you, our physical, emotional, and mental bodies start re-perfecting. And that's why I say that ascension is a viable healing model. And actually, if you're not doing that one, you're not covering all the bases. It offers things that wellness care and crisis management does not offer. So it's a good thing to include. So I guess it's my job to make people aware of that. But anyway, going back to our moment of conception, basically 9 months before the date of our birth, when the ovum and the sperm fuse together at our conception, 3 things happened simultaneously. All of a sudden, we were one cell of flesh. The one cell was pulsating, and there was a full-grown, complete adult-sized energy field around the one cell that one cell has grown into now that we are an adult. So these 3 things, the cell, the pulse, and the energy field, is the trinity of our wholeness, and they identify what they are. The pulse is your divine presence. It was actually created in the neutral zone prior to the dawn of creation. And at the dawn of creation, the 9 pulses of creation created our spirit body, which is the energy field that our cell grew into. And then at our conception in this life, our cell body was added to that. That's our soul body. And so we are soul, spirit, and presence. But only one of the 3 was new at your conception in this life. And your pulse and your energy field are ancient. You have actually always been the same energy field you are right now. And all 7 levels of your consciousness are an integrated part of your energy field. So to me, that's the part of the Trinity that's actually who we are, is our spirit body, our spirit. And it has recorded all of life, and that actually is the records that I read, is the inscriptions of the crystal lattice of our energy, our Holy Spirit. And the story I'm going to tell you tonight, it comes from our energy field, and every single person on this planet carries this story with them. And it's one of my big hopes that soon other people are going to be reading that. Because it's an incredible wealth of information, and there's lots of questions that I've never asked that other people will. So we'll find out all kinds of things. But basically, what the records in our spirit body tell us is that we were all whole beings before we became human beings. And we were actually whole beings for a long, long time, like 5 times longer than there's been human beings on this planet. And we were all created in this model of the Holy O. It is a geometry of O, which has no opposing ends. And in the model of the Holy O, we have loving feelings and the thoughts that go with loving feelings. And this ability to share the common O. When you share the common O with another person, you can feel how you make that person feel, think their thoughts, share their reality, what an incredible rudder check to keep us in integrity, honor, and high regard. Because when you're in that state, everyone is very precious and dear to you, and your focus is to get good feelings back from them, and they the same way about you. So it's a very loving, trusting, connecting type of an environment that we get to live in from that perspective. And so we were this being, this holy being called Holy O Same, S-A-M-E, and we had a vessel with 13 parts in the vessel, and these parts were all ascension pathways, and they functioned homogeneously. And that's why they're called same. There was no hierarchy with these parts. One was just as important as the next. They worked homogeneously, and as the product of their team effort, we were holy beings, had a knowing consciousness and an eternal life. And so life was good. We lived like this for 700 million years, and in a 13th dimensional matrix known as heaven on earth. And for whatever reason, eventually we wanted an expansion of that 13th dimensional matrix, and we had the knowing of our inner holiness, but we did not understand for some reason that you cannot add to a matrix system. You have to disassemble it and create another one. And so we wanted this expansion of the 13th dimensional matrix to the point that it broke our brown ray, and things just tumbled down. When the brown ray broke, the universe was created from its former feminine universe, and it was there were 76 of these clusters, 26 feminine, 26 masculine, and 24 for 86 other kinds of beings. But this universe actually broke off of a feminine universe, and it was about 1/10. This universe had 76 cosmoses in it. The feminine universe had 763. And so about 1/10 of that feminine universe has this universe, and so that was the first leg of the downfall. And when that happened, we were totally disconnected from the whole mechanism from which we had formerly been a creative expression of, and the giant mechanism of the 9 clusters of the all it is of the Holy O, we were disconnected from, and we were so integrated into being a component of that as a holy being of Holy O Saint. And so this universe fell out of the cluster of the feminine universe that was in this first cluster of the Holy O Earth was the first cluster that these 76 universes comprise, and this universe dropped out of that feminine universe. And then the second step was Atlantis sank. And the third step was our vessel of Holy O Same received 5 fractures: a patriarchal fracture, a matriarchal fracture, a contamination through, a universal cosmic ratio imbalance, and a bipolar particle, and contamination through the mass conscience. Those are the 5 fractures that our vessel received. And these fractures broke our parts, and they came outside our vessel, and they were spectrumized on a totem pole called the Hierarchy of One. Our God particle went to the top of that totem pole, followed by our Elohim particle, then Archangel, Angel, Ascended Master, Earth Goddess, and right on down the totem pole, and at the very bottom of that totem pole was our empty fractured vessel, known as self. Self is the empty fractured vessel, and to be human is to be of self. And self is where our consciousness is at when we are a human. And self is inside its fractured vessel looking out at the world around it. And because the parts of self are outside of it, self perceives life outside of it. And when self is at odds with the world it lives in, it's always going to blame the thing outside the vessel that it's reacting to as being at fault. But it's actually the fracture that it's looking through that causes the illusion that creates the separation that the negative feelings come from. And when our vessel got fractured at the great downfall, this caused our ego body to go from peacetime, which it had been in the whole time we were of the Holy O, and the peacetime ego body is obedient to Divine Mother, and it is the servant to the other two specialty bodies of the soul. The ego body is of the soul also. It's the third specialty body. But the other two specialty bodies are our inner child, which is our source of joy and happiness, and our adult body, which is the responsible, discerning aspect of our soul. And the ego was obedient and the servant of those two bodies and obedient to Divine Mother. So the ego had its role to play in the Holy O, but it was a way different nature. And when our vessel got fractured, our ego body went to wartime, which is to be the protector of your soul. And it does so by seizing control of your consciousness, disconnecting you from knowing, and instigating the process of belief, which is the programming of your authority. And your ego determines what that authority is. And its tool is fear, the origin of all negative feelings. I wanted to know, when is my ego running consciousness? That's any time in life that you have a negative feeling. And so, that was the world of the downfall. And another thing about self is because its parts are outside of it, and it has no knowing, it doesn't know that those parts outside of it were the former parts of its own holiness, because it doesn't know it was ever holy. And it's been programmed through its authority that it's a descendant of original sinners. And so it never knew a holy order. And if your biggest concept of reality is the universe, then you have the universal signature in your consciousness, and you're stuck in the model of one. Self personifies the parts of its former holiness as beings in its outer world. Gods out there, archangels, ascended masters, Elohims, and the like. It never understands that these are actually the parts of its former holiness. And yet that's the way it actually is. So, the process of healing your vessel, and one little side note, because our original 13 parts were broken, to make them whole again, they had to be made a part of a bigger system, and 15 was chosen. And so there is now a new part on the bottom of the low soul, and this is the Holio underworlds of our unconscious. And there's also a new part over the top of our God particle, which is Holio sane, and that is our androgyne. And so our new Holio sane has 15 homogeneous parts inside the vessel. So we've grown a little bit. And so this is where we find ourselves, in 2015. Things have changed on this planet. We are now in the Aquarian age. That changed in December of 2012. That was part of that Mayan calendar event. Our age is 5,125 years long. There have been many on this earth leading up to this one. The previous age, the Piscean age, its characteristics was a linear timeline and a third-dimensional grid system. And so whatever the timeline and the grid system are creates the culture that this earth is going to nurture and support. And the old Piscean age, what this earth nurtured and support was belief consciousness and being controlled by outer authority. This Aquarian age that came in December it has an exponential time coordinate of 10 crystals starting at 15 and going through 999 to the power of 7. And also, it has a 999 to the power of 7 dimensional grid. Quite an improvement over a third dimensional grid in a linear timeline. And so it has really changed the culture of what the earth will nurture and support. And what's in vogue now is to get out of your head where your beliefs and your fears reside. Simply open your heart and seek the new holy order and learn to live the parable of the Antichrist being. And there are 6 steps to Christ consciousness. And I tell people to learn to be a practitioner of Christ consciousness, take the 6 steps every morning before you leave the house and state them as your intention of the day. And they will read something like, Lord of my being, today I accept all issues in my life as my own. I now forgive myself for any harm caused. I surrender the whole 9 yards to you, my Lord. As I yield to your will in my life, I'm going to show up today and take my next step in trusting you. I don't have to understand anything about what's around the corner, and I ask for guidance. And so you go through those 6 steps. It takes maybe 20 seconds. You do it before you leave the house in the morning. And after you've done that consecutively for 10 to 14 days, somewhere in that range, you will be prompted by your inner holiness that you need to edit a few of those steps, maybe all of them. But whatever your inner holiness tells you to do, you write it down. And now you own the prayer of Christ consciousness. And now you're ready for step 2. And that is to take it into your day with you. And when things go south, instead of trying to do it yourself, figure it out yourself, you simply pause and do the parable. And you have just opened the door for miracles to come into your life. The most amazing things will happen. Your cup will overflow with goodness. You'll be led through the most tedious of all processes. And you will get a daily wow factor. And it makes life so exciting and fun that your expectations will always be exceeded from what you thought was possible. So it is an amazing way to live life, and it allows a tremendous flow of prosperity and abundance of all good things to come into your life. So the parable of Christ consciousness is an exciting way to live our life. And it is actually one of the 3 levels of consciousness that exists in the Holy Oath. Now, the model of one, we all crashed down to the first paradigm from our downfall, and that was a brutal world. That was a characteristic of the first paradigm is death, killing, and war, and I certainly want no part of that. And then the second paradigm was not a good place either. It was robbing, stealing, cheating, even politics, the second paradigm. And then the third paradigm is less vile than the first 2, but still not positive. It's like gossip, condemnation, criticism, self-pity type of a deal. And so we're trying to climb this ladder because we've gone to hell, and we fell from heaven to hell, and we're climbing this ladder, and anything that helps us get to the next rung of the ladder is a very worthwhile thing. And religion was created in the second paradigm. The Judaism and the Muslim religions were created in the second paradigm, Christianity in the third, and those 3 religions are very successful at raising people out of those first 2 for sure and up into the third dimension. And so that's a very wonderful thing. These paradigms are logarithms, and from one to the next is a factor of 10. The second paradigm is 10 times more conscious than the third. The third is 10 times more conscious than the second. So it's a big deal to go from one paradigm to the next. There's lots of wonderful healers on the earth, that have sacred gifts that raise people up another rung of that ladder. And they're stationed all along the way. There's 177 million healers, light workers on the planet that are here for this very special event to lift people through these steps of paradigms up into the Holy Oak. And they go, the first paradigm shift we had in our lifetime was 2004. And we went to the fourth paradigm. And so about the time of great downfall, that was the first paradigm. About the time of Abraham was the second. About the time of Jesus was the third. And then we were stuck there for over 2,000 years. And the fourth paradigm came in 2004. And their phone just went. And we had years back in the 2000s and between 2004 and 2010 that we would have like 3 paradigm shifts in a single year. Wow, that was fast, and it was exciting times. And these paradigms were integrating the Earth grid. And then on Christmas of 2011, the 15th paradigm came in. And that was amazing. And then on 4 days later, the 29th, the 69th paradigm came in. Yeah, and then we went from 69 2 days later to the 177. And it wasn't very long, a couple of more days, a week or so, we went to the 999th. And from by May the 6th, I believe it was, of 2012, we had gone all the way through the exponential leaps up to the 999 to the power 7th paradigm. And then an event at Peace Valley, Arkansas, the first 14 paradigms were collapsed into the 15th. And so now we have this exponential time coordinate that starts at the 15th and goes through 999 to the power of 7. This is actually the new playground that has been created for us to live in as holy beings. It's quite a vast improvement over the 13th dimensional matrix of heaven on earth. We just have to get moved back in. That's the whole thing. We have to move back in our new kingdom. And that's exactly what Holy Divine Healing, this process of healing that I'm doing, is devoted to. And I'm sure there's other systems, too, that people are working equally as diligently as the Holy Divine Healing is going down the track. So there's lots of helpers, lots of people are doing their expression of spirit through their snowflake of a sacred gift. And so there's lots of avenues, and if people seek this, they will resonate with something being offered, and they'll be able to move on up the paradigm ladder. So what's up is that in the principles that we offer in Holy Divine Healing, this is about reintegrating us to this 9 cluster of the All That Is. And it's really an amazing process. The 9 clusters of the All That Is actually connect to all of us through the 9 underworlds of our unconscious. And 3 of the underworlds come from Lemuria, 3 from Atlantis, 3 from Hyperborea. So the 9 clusters of the All That Is are connected to this earth through those holy continents. And then from those continents, they connect in these underworlds, actually fuse together to create the core seat of our consciousness complex, the unconscious. And the unconscious is what creates our nature. And when we are connected to the 9 clusters of the All That Is coming into the underworlds of our unconscious, we have the nature of a holy being, which is an awesome thing. when the downfall happened and the universe fell out of that feminine omniverse, we were disconnected from these 9 clusters, and our underworld started filling up with the human carnage from the incarnations that we had in low human consciousness. The average person, 12 to 6 million. That's what became a cesspool of the most concentrated source of imperfection of our being, and it created human nature, which is not a good thing. So that was part of the human dilemma, is what to do with these toxic underworlds in our unconscious. And as we showed up in our day and took our next step in trusting our inner holiness, all of this stuff worked its way out, and we have a system now of reconnecting, of purging all of that out of our being, and getting these fractures out of our being. These 15 parts inside our vessel, our 15 paths of ascension, they actually connect into the 15 galaxies of this cosmos. You see, the 9 clusters of the All That Is have over 62 million omniverses. Each omniverse has 763 cosmoses. Each cosmos has 15 galaxies. And the 15 galaxies of this cosmos connect to the 15 parts within our vessel. So we're connected in our vessel. We're connected in our unconscious through this incredible mechanism of the 9 clusters of the All That Is. And this is where our divineness comes from. This is where our holy order comes from. And so it's really, really an amazing apparatus of interconnection. I think just keeps doing that too. Okay. There's not a shut up button anywhere. Okay. Okay. Any questions about any of that so far? Okay. Yeah, unless they're back in your vessel, they're outside of you. Well, they're over the spectrum. We're not all in the same place. Yeah. If you've been doing your work, you're on the cutting edge of change, and I see that all over. I go to new places I've never been, and the people that are into being holy beings, they're ready for the next blessings. I never have to go back a year or 2 or 3 or 2004 and do what we were doing back then. They're always ready for what's up right now. And so if you've been doing the work, no matter what it is you've been doing, you're ready for these next steps, because it is the earth that nurtures and supports our efforts to be whole. And with the new exponential orbit and the Christ matrix grid, we can move fast. I mean, there's never been a time when the least amount of seeking would produce a more gigantic change in people. It's really the season of ascension right now. It's really, really amazing. Amazing times we live. Yes. Yeah, when they're in your holy O. They were inside of you when you were a holy being of the holy O. They've only been outside of you since you've been human. And everything you said about them a while ago was accurate. They do watch out over us and stuff. But that was in a model of 1. And see, the model of 1 goes from the 1st up to the 12th. And most of these beings that you're talking about, from God being outside of you, Elohims, archangels, angels, ascended master, earth goddesses, all of that, these are beings that were in your vessel before you had your downfall. And they're still around people today. And a lot of times when I'm working on people, people will see people, or they'll see eyes looking at them, And these are your parts wanting to come back in your vessel. That's what it is all about. And it's interesting that none of these parts go beyond the 12th dimension when they're outside of you. When they're inside of you, man, they go an archangel is 69 to the power of 7, an angel is 15 to the power of 7. That's way beyond the 12th dimension. But when they're outside of you, they're 12th dimensional beings. And that's, so how awesome is a being of the Holy O? He's got a God particle, an Elohim, an archangel, angel, all of that's inside and working homogeneously. It's amazing. And they give you knowing. It's a wonderful process. And then the next step up the line is when your divine feminine, your Elohim, and your divine masculine, your God particle, share the common O. Your androgyne is synthesized. And that is where life gets fun. Because it's your androgyne that has these 276 activities of higher consciousness that are utilized on this inner web that goes from your spirit body to the holy temples of the neutron stars all throughout the 9 clusters. And it is the neutron stars that synthesizes knowing consciousness as it creates gold. And so there's a real semblance between knowing and gold. In consciousness, knowing is the goal. And so it's an amazing being that we are in our Holy O. So this is what Holy Divine Healing is about. Now, these 15 parts of androgyne, God, Elohim,
even though it said I was fully charged.
Can we use this? Put that on speaker. Okay. All right. Maybe I'll just hold this in my hand without messing something up. Yeah, so what I'm going to tell you is that I am not allowed to go inside your vessel in a private session. Only you and your inner holiness are allowed inside your vessel. And these 15 parts that go inside your vessel, they're called ascension paths. You have to go on the holydivinehealing.com website and recruit your inner holiness to come through your intuitive process and choose what it is you need. And I recommend that you use this for a troubleshooting mechanism when you're actually having a bad day, when you're having an issue come up. That's the perfect time to go to holydivinehealing.com and go to the jukebox and let your inner holiness choose for you whether you swing a pendulum or you get a gut knowing or ever how your intuitive process works. You can go in there and choose your blessing, and it's there for you 24/7 around the world. And it now works on all media devices, a desk computer, a notebook, an iPhone, whatever. You can get it. And so that's where you have to go in order to work on the inside of your vessel. And preliminary reports are very positive that it's working really good for people. And we have a website. How's this work here? What was Vicky saying? I get this all mixed up. If you have problems on the jukebox, there is a website called Dr. Dr. Dan, HDH, at gmail.com that you can send an email. And my lovely wife, Vicki, and my son, Ben, now run the technology. And Vicki is the troubleshooter. If you ever have problems with getting connected for a teleconferencing, you can go to this website or you can call Vicki. at 501-416-1998. Same number as mine, except the last number is 8 instead of 6. And she's very helpful on nights of group healings and stuff for people that are having trouble getting online. And she will fix you up. So we got a fast response team that'll get you all hooked up. Any questions? Yes, Australia.
Talk about the vessel that you're not allowed to go to the vessel moving. What is it?
Okay, the vessel is you. It's actually your soul body, and it's where these 15 paths of ascension go. The 15 parts. Your Elohim, the God, all of the parts on the hierarchy of one actually go inside your vessel, plus 2 more. And so the vessel gets full, and when you're having issues in your life, it's always going to go back to these parts that are not working right or not inside your vessel. And so if you go on the website, you can do your own doctrine on your own parts, and they will go back into your vessel. So that's the purpose of this jukebox part of the website. There's also a blog on there. We record teleconferencing of group healings. You can get any kind of thing like that you want on that website. And all of the events that I do, the schedule is on that website. So if you don't want to look up what Dr. Dan is doing or is about, go to the holydivinehealing.com website. And we have some cards up here if y'all need one.
Is it aligned with the physical vessel, or is it different?
Yeah, well, you know, our soul, spirit, and presence, all 3 of those has physical, emotional, mental, and spirit. And this is a component of that. So, yes, it is physical, emotional, mental, and spirit. The vessel that got fractured at the downfall was the soul body. So that's exactly what the vessel is. And the vessel is the flesh body, you know, the earth kit. And this is where these parts go that came out and got spectrumized on the totem pole. They go back into your vessel, which is your soul body. So that's, you know, there's so many parts about this. There's probably not any simple way of talking about this. It's so interconnected and convoluted. But if you have issues, you know, the need for this became apparent with people calling me in emergencies, and I'm backed up for 3 weeks. So I was no good at 911, and so the jukebox became a way for people to troubleshoot their problems. But a person has to step up and make their choice. It's not like laying on the table and me telling them what they need. And so it requires a higher level of commitment on the person's part to go in and deal with those parts. Yes?
Having not listened to that yet, what is on there? Like the different blessings that you do?
There's 15 blessings of the parts that go inside the vessel. They are the actual parts. And we don't do those parts in private sessions, so you've never had them. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
So it might be a good idea to go and do the 15 parts.
Well, like I say,
even if you don't have an emergency.
You know, it's going to happen sooner or later. You're going to have a need. You know, the thing I have found out is that every person has like a merry-go-round on the inside of them that turns very slowly, and it's where all of your junk is at. Call it crap, call it junk, whatever you want to call it. But it's your problems. Okay, and that wheel turns very slowly, and there's a little thin pie slice
that's your day. And it is, and you know, today you may have an ache, a pain, a thought, worry, concern. You're upset about a pet peeve that's been stimulated. You're having problems at work, relationship, whatever. It may last 2 days, 2 weeks, or 2 months. And one day you'll wake up, and the big thing has turned a little bit, and now you've got a new pie thing. Well, whatever is behind the problems of today is exposing itself to be healed, okay? And that's the value of this thing. So you kind of got to be around a person while their merry-go-round turns, you know, and you get things when they come up in the now, and you're getting rid of all of this dead wood, and you're weeding that person's flower bed. And but people got real infested with stuff, you know, having 6 to 12 million incarnations and that low human consciousness with a really impacted underworlds of human carnage. You know, it's not a pretty thing. So you don't want to try to heal everything at once because you couldn't stand it. The same reason you don't want to experience everything that's wrong with you at once. You don't want to try to heal everything that's wrong with you at once. So you can't get out of this generically. You do it by living your life. And so when things come up, that's when you use it. Yeah. And enjoy those sunny days we have in between the days that we have to kind of get a little bit dirty. So.
You recommend, just like sitting and listening to it? That's all.
Yeah, you lay down, just like a blessing, you get comfortable and lay down and listen to it. And you got it for 3 days. You can listen to it more than once if you would like. Yeah. Some people like to do that. I have had some people that do all 15 of them at once. I haven't really been able to sit down yet and talk to those few people that have done that because this is really pretty new. And I'm always busy with the next step. So I don't get to reflect a whole lot. But I have heard good comments about it from people on my travels. So just check it out and see what you think about it. The blessings they're $13 a piece, so they're pretty inexpensive. And so that's what's happening with the jukebox thing. And I won't be back here again until July, which will be 4 months. And usually I come in May. This time I'm not coming in May. So it may be necessary that you want to go to the jukebox and check things out a little bit. Yeah. Any other comments or thoughts about it? You good over there, Eileen?
You know, the question that keeps going to my mind that I asked for different time out here, which is, if all of this is going on,
well, the answer to that is the cutting edge of higher consciousness is booming like never before, and the photon band that is also in effect right now catalyzes people's efforts to be in a holy order, but it's purging real hard the bottom of the paradigm that's all fractured. And that's what you're plugging into. You're not seeing the other end of it.
It's not that I don't see it.
What is it?
It seems like I'm completely drowned by it.
Well, sure you are. Yeah, because this is people's lives you're talking about. But there's never been a time when people had an access to be as whole and pure as now. And there's people taking advantage of that. I see it all the time. You know, I make my little travels around, and I see people that are right on the cutting edge of this process, and their lives have changed tremendously. And so I see a lot of that. And, yeah, the bottom end is not a pretty thing. And, you know, if people insist on doing it themselves instead of developing a connection with their inner holiness, maybe they don't know that there's another option. Or maybe they insist on doing it themselves. Whatever their reason is, you know, they get what they get because of what they're doing. And if life is full of pain and misery, that's life's way of saying that you need to reevaluate what you're doing. That's the purpose of pain and misery, is to have you reevaluate. And if you're doing the same thing that makes the pain and misery, you know, I come run into that some, and what I tell myself is, you know, it's like a cake that needs 10 more minutes in the oven. We're just not done with that yet, and I hate to see it. And what I do to maintain stability in my own being is hold the space for them to have their moment of awakening when they can start participating in the Holy Oath. And then I go about my day. And I feel good that I can do that. And so that's what I do, and not get bummed out and down in the dumps because some people are not woke up yet. So I'm here for those that are, you know, willing to go on the ride and take the journey and to trust in their inner holiness. That's my job. And that's what I'm here for. And anytime people want to have that awakening and start trying to do the Christ-conscious thing, I'm going to be here for them. That's what I'll do. Yeah.
You know, one of the private sessions sometimes told me I would do, I think he said, healing for other people. And today, earlier today, I had the thought that, you know, at one point I thought, oh, when I'm, you know, really, my consciousness is just feel smooth and wonderful. And I've come to understand that it's not. That it's not, at least right now where I'm at, that, you know, to maintain that, we'll be experiencing a lot of health.
A little turbulence. Yeah.
You know, it's not that I take that on. I just aware of it, it's there.
Yeah.
And just let it let it go, let it stay with something.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and I see that, and, you know, I don't want people to suffer at all, but it's not really up to me. It's their choice, their decision. And, but one thing that we do in Holy Divine Healing for the masses is that once we've done these blessings enough in private sessions, we do them in group healings over mass consciousness for everyone. And so we're putting it out there for everyone, and in hopes that more and more people are getting it all the time. And I know the people that come and get the treatments from me are very advanced. You know, I go to a brand new place, and that's what will happen. The people that come to me will be the ones that are on the cutting edge of higher consciousness in that realm, you know, or they're open to it, you know, they're seeking it, and that's all that's really required in order for a person to quickly get on the cutting edge of change. So we just keep showing up and taking that step in trust, and you know, apply the truth to you is the greatest thing you can do to inspire others to do the same. You know, you apply the truth to you and let them see what happens. And it can do more to motivate people than anything else. You know, telling people about it. I tell people you're really better off if you just apply the truth to you until people that you're around can see the difference in you and they ask you what you're doing. Then you tell them. Until then, you're really taking your chances on getting uprooted, because you're like the tiny seedling that wants to be the giant oak tree. You can be very easily uprooted by people's negativity. They can throw water on your parade and uproot you, and you'll lose your confidence. And if you're not, you know, established in your truth good enough, so. Probably better off just keeping the cork in the bottle and waiting until people see the improvement in it. All right. What are we getting on time here, Judith? We talked about an hour, haven't we? Okay. Unless you have any more questions, we'll have a little demo and give everybody a shot of Holy Divine Healing.
Are you going to talk more about the eye of the needle?
About the what?
Eye of the needle. Are you going to talk about that?
I still haven't heard what you.
Eye of the needle.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, Judith wants me to talk about the eye of the needle. You know, in the model of one, it goes from the first dimension to the 12th, the 12th being the I am, and between the 12th and the 13th dimension, the 13th where the Holy O starts, there is this little mechanism called the eye of the needle that keeps everything that's not whole from being able to pass into the 13th. And some of the newer blessings that I have, the Holy O is reaching into the 12th dimension. And there's two blessings that come to mind. One is Holy O metamorphosis, to be metamorphosed back into a being of the Holy O. The plan of grand design has connected the 9 pulses of creation to the eye of the needle. And every time the universal pulse comes into its O change point, the polarities will be reversed on the fractures that are there. And those fractures will go back into wholeness, and then it will pull on through the eye of the needle and be into the 13th. So that's been a beautiful new blessing. And then once you get into the 13th, there's another blessing called Holy O Restitution that welcomes you back with open arms back into the Holy O, that which we knew before the downfall. And it's got some really beautiful interconnections that make going back home to your Holy O-ness a very wonderful experience. And there's it's very loving and kind, and it welcomes you back home. And so that's the Holy O Restitution blessing. So we have new blessings from the plan of grand design to bring people back into the Holy O, to make it easier. And for those that are doing their work that are up to the I am level, it is now much easier to get into Holy O with these new blessings. So thank you, Jill. That was very good. The eye of the needle. No, it's really not on the jukebox, but it's it's in the lecture, and it's part of the blessings that we're doing in group healing. But it's not a part of the 15 blessings on the jukebox. Right. Great. All right. Anything else? I covered it. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to get set up here and do a little blessing. It'll affect everybody on the phone and here also. I've been getting new platforms to work with. These new platforms are in our crystal lattice. We've had the Holy O Sane platform, the Holy O Androgyne, the Holy O Divine Creator, the Holy O Divine Director, and the newest one is the Holy O Divine Conductor. And these different platforms that go into our crystal lattice allow our crystal lattice to be much more dimensional, multidimensional. It kind of brings new worlds into our crystal lattice, and it allows us to participate in the ascension of our own being. It's not something being done to us as it is that we're actually doing it. And the wonderful thing about these platforms is that they're always ahead of where we are, and they lift us up to the next level. So the platforms themselves expand us back into the Holy O. So I'm very grateful that that's been happening. Okay, let's see what's up. All right. All right, looks like David is our demo for tonight. David, are you okay laying flat, or you need a lift on your legs? Is your low back good? Okay.
Dan, did you see entities when people are on the table?
What?
Do you see entities?
I have before. It's not necessarily common. It doesn't happen all the time, but I have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sure have. You know, most of the entity stuff that I run across are these fractures, you know, the 5 major fractures. You know, I run into that on people all the time. It's like they've got invaders in them. And in fact, the fractures are actually, they came here from outside the 9 clusters of the all it is, and they register as invaders. But they're not a problem getting them out of people. Let's see. Okay, we're going to do our blessing here. Let's see. This blessing for David is orchestrated by living holiness that beats his heart. Dan is a servant with Christ's consciousness, and all the people. This is actually the extent of a group healing adjustment. This is for the group of the Holy O. This actually is going to do all 9 clusters of the all that is. And let's see here. We need to do a little interface. Omega, O alpha, O iota, O alpha, O iota, omega, O iota, omega, O alpha. Okay. All right, David, what do we need? Okay, it looks like this is where this newest platform gets put out into the 9 clusters. This is that Holy Old Divine Conductor blessing that came in last Saturday while I was in Austin. My servant that brings forth the new crystal lattice very graciously allowed me to shake her feet, and out came this blessing. I'm going to have it. Thank you, Judy. All right. This blessing for David and the group of the Holy O, or Holy O Divine Conductors. David and the group of the Holy O, or Holy O Divine Conductors. Omega, O iota, O alpha. This blessing for the Holy O Divine Conductors to bring forth through the plan of grand design perfected Holy O design of life into the neutral zone through a plan of grand design, through a divine decree of O, to bring forth perfected merger into O-ness through perfected O paradigm pattern, O paradigm portal of creation, to merge into O-ness with the now of creation, to merge into O-ness through the great seal of all-knowing, of O of creation. This great seal of all-knowing to be applied to a triangle, which will metamorphose and become an universal Merkaba, and then merge into O-ness and bring forth Holy O Divine Conductor with the Holy O Design of Life in the 9 cluster all that is, through the Holy O hologram, fractal, and microcosm of the Holy O, to purge, clear, heal, nurture, and support forevermore in the first corner of this triangle. The Holy O 9 cluster of creation, the Holy O Akashic beam, and the Holy O unified field of the Holy O Stargate now share the common O with the Holy O design of life This changes all holograms of all negative patterns in our behavior that has been reinforced through ancestral lineage, offspring's matrix, past life, this life, and experience and this life's experience an alien invasion as the universal pulse enters the old change point. All of this is consumed in an instant, and its records are forgiven and forgotten, and a wholly old new way comes from our inner holiness that feels so wonderfully peaceful and loving, that makes total sense and is totally accepted by all involved in the experience. Through the holy old gray ray and anchors in our pituitary gland. In the second corner of this triangle, the holy old soul, the holy old Akashic beam, and the holy old unified field of the holy old stargate now share the common old with holy old design of life. This connects the earth star of our spirit with the soul star of our flesh. As the galactic pulse enters its old change point, the love particle of our heart merges with our pineal gland and pituitary gland, and we share eternal love, goodwill, and friendship forevermore through the holy old blue ray and anchors in our crystal pyramids. In the third corner of this pyramid, the holy old spirit, the holy old Akashic beam, and the holy old unified field of the holy old stargate now share the common old with the holy old design of life. This allows us to be free, to be who we are, and accepted by all. As the cosmic pulse enters its old change point, our life becomes a Shambhala. All things unsettled become settled. All things wanting shall be filled. Through the holy old brown ray and anchors in our root chakra, with holy old divine conductor in the middle, this great seal of all knowing to merge into oneness through the threefold flame of our heart, of our rainbow gold and emerald violet crystal light of creation, to merge into oneness through perfectionator Merkaba, holy omniverse, 22 coordinated groups of all omniverse of creation, to merge into oneness through perfected bookends of our 15 paths of ascension, of holy old underworlds through holy old same of creation, to bring forth perfected manifestation of holy old divine conductor with the holy old design of life in the nine cluster all that is, through the holy old hologram fractal and microcosm of the holy old, with inner feelings of trust, truth, and contented, all to be brought forth into this reality of this earth through our lives in more than 800 trillion plus expressions of the holy old divine conductor in perfected holographic, holy old fractal, and microcosm of the holy old, anointed with clear octave sandstone crystal light, light of divine mother, light of goddess, light of Melchizedek, clear octave ruby red crystal light, clear octave violet crystal light, clear octave emerald crystal light, clear turquoise crystal light, clear magenta crystal light, clear yellow crystal light, clear red crystal light, clear blue sky crystal light, clear silver crystal light, clear crystal light, clear white crystal light, clear rainbow crystal light, clear golden crystal light, clear blue crystal light, clear purple crystal light, clear violet crystal light, clear emerald crystal light, clear green crystal light, clear pink crystal light, clear octave orange crystal light, and 101 rays of light with feelings of delight, tranquility, and perfection, passion, cherish, and virtuous, reliable, devotion, and dependable, conscientious, unwavering, and gratified, true, gracious, and elation, contented, sincerity, and faithfulness, peace, love, and creative, the element of joy, the illumination of old light, and the radiance of divine presence of Goddess, to nurture, purify, and elevate this perfected fractal code of the Holy Oak into its very highest balance, harmony, joy, happiness, peace, love, compassion, structure, function, morphology, physiology, through the authority and the orchestration of the living Goddess that beats our hearts. This perfected fractal code of the Holy Oak goes into the hall of records of our being, attracting all things like it as it establishes its dominion in its perfection, in the life expression of the Holy Oak divine conductors. O connecting, amen, and alleluia. And it is done. Wonderful. Very good. All right. Come on up, David. Very well. Okay. Well, that was a good little new blessing, and this was a pretty intense equation, actually. It takes out a lot of the human dilemma out of things. And there'll be a lot of new blessings that will come forth from this platform of the Holy Oak Divine Conductor when I get to see all of y'all the next time. So this will be a wonderful, wonderful way to get this out here, to get it started. And people will get this blessing and hopefully get all these dilemmas out of them that this blessing allows to happen. Okay.
You named platforms, but what exactly are the platforms?
The platforms are additions to the crystal lattice of our being that make us more multidimensional. And also, because they are in a staircase going upward, a spiral, they lift us to the next level. By using a higher platform, it lifts us to another level. So it makes us more multidimensional, is what it does. Okay. Well, I guess that was going to do it for tonight. Thank everybody on the phone. Y'all were wonderful. And until next time, many blessings, and look to see my next place. And we'll be in Indianapolis, so we'll be up in Indianapolis in April. Until then, many blessings and much love to all of you. Good night.